Morning, happy Thursday. I hope you're all having a really good day so far. Welcome to this first of what's going to be a series of conversations that I'm going to be having with women who are leaders in their own life, leaders in their business, whatever their business may be. And this is a conversation to open up the possibilities for you to allow the leader code, the leader archetype to be activated within you so that you can embody it, so that you can experience it, so that you can manifest it into your world, into your life, into your business. This is a new venture for me. It's a new idea. I think it's just a week or so that I think it was a week ago today that it popped in during a conversation with my coach, and it was something that I've been wanting to do for a while, but I thought it would be in the future. I thought it would be a little bit later on in my journey, but it's come in now. It's here. I'm ready as best as I can be. And my first guest, the beautiful Lucy Bennett, has just decided to send a request in, so just give me 1 second while I let her join. And hopefully that has given her the access. Yes, hello.
Hey lovely, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, nice to see you this morning.
Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. Now, how are you doing today, Lucy?
Yeah, I'm good. My camera's a bit high because I'm kind of on, like, trying to balance it on my computer, but it's okay. It's
I
okay.
same
No,
thing,
I'm
and I have
good.
a
I'm
book
glad
in
it's
front of my book
Thursday, close
holding
to
it
the
up.
end of the week.
Yeah, indeed. So I was just sharing that this is my first conversation with women who are leading massively in their lives. So it's such a pleasure to have you here today, and for you to be the first amazing woman that I get to share this experience with. So thank you for that.
Thanks, thanks, my lovely. It's good to be here.
Yeah. So as this is a conversation, I don't have anything planned. I made the decision to not plan any questions because a true conversation cannot be planned. So we are just going to see what comes up, what comes out. And one of the one of the main intentions I have for these conversations is to show how leadership is possible for everybody. It's not something that's for the elite few. All of us can be leaders in our life, and you don't need a huge following, and you don't need to feel like you need to fix yourself or do more or be more. You can choose to be a leader now, if that is something that resonates. And that's what I'd like to
Yeah,
kind of,
completely.
yeah.
Completely resonate with that, Joanne. And I've been thinking that these past couple of days myself, actually, whilst doing a lot of inner work, a lot of
Yeah.
kind of soul searching and thinking about what my role is as a leader in the world, because it is about that and it is that big. I think often there is this perception that it's just a job, you're just a coach, it's just here within the space that you're doing it in. I live in Spain. Hey Asura, how you doing? Asura's just in the space that you're living in, like for you in Ireland, for me in Spain, but like with the British community as well that I work with. But actually it's bigger than that. I work with people all over the world. Mine is in Jordan, in Amman, and we have the most incredible conversations. And I honestly feel that as we lead them to empower themselves, they become more empowered and they empower those around them. And that's
Exactly.
the key.
Yeah. Yeah. And we can never fully understand the ripple effect of us choosing to stand in our own leadership, and for us to take the uncomfortable path, because it's not an always comfortable path choosing to do this.
That's true.
It's
Yeah.
I'm hoping that these conversations can and will inspire women to just go for it, to just jump, see what happens, because it's worth it in the end. It is, even with the deep inner work that needs to be done, even with the alchemizing, there is a freedom that comes from it, and there's a deep knowing of self that comes from it that I think it's invaluable, and you can't buy that. So I think
No, you can't. You can't. It's what I've been thinking about the last couple of days, and I don't know if this resonates with you, is that like the ultimate thing that happens to you as you do this work, as you start to lead and guide others. And I shared a story yesterday in our coaching group, how I had an amazing session with my client it went beyond just empowering her. There was a decision made that she would now start to talk about her business and what it means from a cultural, political, and historical perspective, right? And so it's much greater. She's telling the story and the history of Palestinian women through her designs that she creates, right? But up until yesterday, she'd been completely blocked on that. She didn't want to share it with the world because she was scared of what the responses would be. So through our discussions and our therapy and the things that we do, like you do, I do in our sessions, we got to the point where she's messaged me first thing this morning, Joanne, saying, thank you. I feel so much inner peace and freedom because now I can go on and I can move forward and tell my story truly. And the truth that comes from dropping into the inner peace, or the inner peace that comes from dropping into the truth, is the power. And what we are all ultimately heading towards is inner peace. In a sense, it's inner peace. It's like the inner peace of the satisfaction of the work that you're doing in the world, the inner peace that you manage yourself in a way that is conscious and good and considerate. Like, does that resonate with you, the inner peace part?
definitely, and it's something that I strive for myself, and also with the clients that I work with. Having that, it's almost like being the eye of the storm. Sometimes there's just this part of you that no matter what's going on, there's this, as you said, peace. And what's really coming up recently with a lot of people that I'm speaking with and working with is discovering a new level of safety to actually open yourself, receive the very thing, to experience the very things that it is that we want to experience in life. And peace and safety, what more? It's a really amazing foundation to build from and to live from.
Yeah,
Because our
definitely.
safety, I feel, it's coming from the acupuncture field, it's a really important thing for us to experience as well. Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt, I've been there, lying on the acupuncture bed. There definitely needs to be trust and a feeling of safety.
Definitely, and
It's great. The effects are great, but it's kind of, if you've only been for one session, the first session, it's kind of scary.
it's scary. But what, you're going to stick needles in me? That makes no sense. But it does. I know I work in a different field now, coaching and all of that, but helping someone to develop a level of safety within themselves, to know that they are secure to receive everything that comes through, whether the receiving is a shadow aspect that needs to be worked through, or whether it's an external human benefit of finances or amazing people you're working with, or whatever it might be. It's important, I think, and it's coming up a lot recently, so I just wanted to bring it into the conversation as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think the more that you do the work, the more that you work with clients on a coaching level and you're helping them grow and expand, the more you grow and expand yourself.
Oh yes.
It
Yeah.
like, it's a journey. It never ends, and it should never end. To be the eternal student is the way. It is the right way, and it is, I think, one of the things, actually, this is kind of significant, because I remember being 24, 25, being like a year and a half, 2 years into working in London, and thinking to myself, I'm bored. I don't like this. I don't learn anymore. And it was my soul saying to me, you need to keep learning. And I really didn't learn anything but like how to sell or mathematical techniques for planning TV airtime campaigns, you know, until really when I moved to Spain and started my wedding business and was like, right, I need to study the wedding business and how to do that. And then from there, it's transformed into like how to become a coach and, you know, how to like different types of coaching and hypnotherapy and past life therapy and all the different things, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
100%. And just as you're saying that, I was kind of just journaling this morning about, you know, what does leadership mean to me? What does it mean for me? And as much as it means being a leader, what kind of came into mind was the ability to be led as well, to allow our souls to lead us in the journey that's going to expand us the most, it's going to transform us the most, it's going to be of most service to the world and to the people in our little world as well, not just the bigger world. But
Yeah.
you know, and it's not always easy to follow the soul calling because it doesn't always make sense. It doesn't
No.
always our mind and the outcome that might happen from following that. So, you know, it's interesting. But I just
It
going back
takes
to
patience, doesn't it?
it does, and I just what Daryl, our coach, said to us recently as well about our allowing our business to be, what way did she say it? Allowing our business to be a vehicle of our spiritual evolution or something like that. I can't remember the way she said it, but you know, as you said as well, it's a huge journey that we're on, and we get to guide people and we get to be guided. So it's just amazing.
Completely.
Yeah.
One of the things I was thinking yesterday was that in order to create true success from the heart and with like for your purpose, so that you're serving your soul and what your soul's desires are, it has to be a spiritual journey. And for some people that might be scary, because I think there's a lot of kind of preconceptions around what spirituality is. And in a way, there's a bit of a stigma in society against being spiritual. I think when we're growing up, it's like, oh, you go to church every Sunday. I went to a Catholic school. So, you know, it was for me, like I wanted to go to church. It gave me the normality and the formality that I needed in my life because my home life was very chaotic. So it wasn't something I shied away from, but definitely as I got older, I started to see that people shy away from it. It's almost, I don't know, it's like a rebellion against what the parents and the grandparents did, but we all know that spirituality is not just the church, it's whatever it means to you as an individual, but we have to go on that path in order to create success that has longevity, um, that has our soul's purpose with the highest regard, you know, with the highest kind of outcome, like highest natural outcome for us as individuals, you know.
Yeah, 100%. I was raised Catholic as well, and you know, there's always a rebellion against what you're brought up. But I've always been very grateful that even though I don't deem myself as a Catholic, I'm very grateful that it did instill in me a level of spirituality that I've been able to cultivate and grow. And I didn't have to, in my 20s or 30s, dig in and discover what that meant. It was always part of my journey in some way, you know, even though it has evolved and
Yeah,
changed. So I feel very grateful for that, because I think when, as you said, when people think spirituality, they think it's strictness, it's rules, it's a guy in the top of on an altar telling you what to do, or it's a bearded man in the sky looking down and criticizing you. And you know, I don't think everybody was given the opportunity maybe to expand themselves into what true spirituality can be and to claim it as your own unique journey, and not, it doesn't have to be what you have been told it is. So I think it's, you know, whether, no matter what you're doing in life, no matter what your work is, you can, it can be a spiritual journey. It doesn't mean that you need to be out on Instagram or out in the world like that. It can be anything. It can be anything that you're doing can develop your spiritual journey, and I think that's important to say as well. Yeah.
definitely. And you know what happened to me recently? This woman's mad. Apart from having a conversation, a full conversation with Jesus Christ that was on the cross, I actually did have a conversation with him. I told Daryl about it afterwards. But looking down at the people who were in prayer, for the first time in my life, I understood what they were doing and what the connection was. And it is only through my own spiritual practice here at home, alone,
Yeah.
tapping into my higher self, but also through the hypnotherapy and past life therapy, because when you do that kind of spiritual work, it really opens up doorways. I mean doorways. So you go, people who I haven't even expected to take to certain places have gone there, like to between lives, to past lives, even when we weren't going there, because they have been called to. And it's through this work that I stood there in this church having a conversation with Jesus and finally understood what it meant being on your knees in a church praying. So now, ever since I've kind of reconnected with my spirituality the last few years, every time I go into a church, I feel the majesty of it all. I feel the beauty and just all of those incredible things. Like I look at Spain, the church is very beautiful, and of course I'm a wedding planner, so I go into a lot of churches.
Yeah.
And there's one church in particular that has got these amazing angels, and they're like warrior angels. So for me, they're just like, oh my God, I love those. I need to find out what angel it is meant to be, right? And and there's just this spiritual connection with all of these things, these symbols. But these symbols are things that you end up experiencing when you drop deep into your mind, when you connect to your higher self, when you tap into like that kind of modern spirituality in a sense, which is all within you. But it's quite it's a massive thing. It's probably too much for some people to understand.
So be it, so be it. But there could be something so peaceful about just going into a church and just sitting when there's nobody else there. It's just the level of peace and silence is just, and there's an energy in there within that peace, and I know people have a lot of issues with the Catholic Church and its history and all of that, but beyond that, the kind of the physicality of it, the roots of it is it's a beautiful place to just be able to go and quiet yourself for a little while. I live in the city here in Dublin, so it's always noisy. So just being able to go into a church, even if it's in the middle of the city, and just sit and just be quiet for a little while and just, yeah, feel that kind of, there's a holding almost, I feel, in when you're in a church on your own.
Yeah, definitely. Even if it has nothing for you to do with the actual religion, it's that space, it's those symbols, they've been created from humanity over the centuries, haven't they? It's by other, people's experiences of being enlightened, and yeah, it's quite something quite special.
It is. It really is. Um, I had a question come through and now it's after falling out of my head again. So I'm going to have to keep talking in the hope that it comes back. I don't know what it was. No, it's absolutely gone out of my head. That is terrible. Yeah. So, is there anything that you would say to somebody who is wanting to take a new direction in their life but feels like they don't know enough, feels like they're not good enough, feels like it's not the right time? What might you say to that person if you met them on a bench in a park or somewhere like that and you just started a conversation?
It's funny that you say this, because my cleaner was here yesterday, and she's the kind of woman who is always busy.
Mm.
And she thinks that we're alike, which is kind of funny, because she spends her time being busy in the morning. I spend 2 hours meditating and doing yoga before I start my day. But I thought to myself, and there's another woman here locally that I know who was very stressed, didn't know what to do with her business when it was changing hands here. The supermarket got taken over, so she was going to lose the space. And what I recognized in both of those people, and what I recognize in people who are blocked, confused, they don't know where to move forward, is that there's too much thinking going on.
Yeah.
There's too much busyness, there's too much activity. Like, what shall I do? What shall I do? And they're always asking that question.
Mm.
So the biggest piece of advice is to drop inside of yourself, to start looking within, stop looking outside of you and start looking within.
Yeah,
And the answers come. The answers come with practice, with time, with a mentor to guide you. The
yeah,
answers come.
100%. You know, and I've experienced that myself so many times trying to figure things out, and it just blocks, it frazzles your connection with your higher self. It frazzles your connection with your inner knowing. For me anyway, and it's so helpful to have an external mentor, an external coach also, to kind of at times give you a kick up the bum when it's necessary.
God, yeah. God, yeah. I couldn't be
Yeah,
without a coach in my life. I just couldn't. I have to have a coach. You
yeah,
know, for me at all times, I literally, you know, if I've done a time with one, I'm looking for another before it's over. I know, and I'm always looking. I'm always looking. You know, I've always got my eye on people. I think people come into your life for a reason. You know, um, one of the things I was thinking, I worked in advertising for years. And in my first job, it was a full service agency, which means they do creative as well as planning. And because I was young, they used to was young, long time ago, used to introduce me into the brainstorming sessions. And it's funny, like in retrospect now, when I think of brainstorming,
mm,
it's like this is an external act. Everyone has to sit there active. Right, what ideas have you got? There is no going inside. There is no connection to your intuition. There is no like listening to your heart brain and heart knowledge in order to find an answer or find the creativity. It's like you're there in a room and you're being forced to be creative. You know,
yeah,
there's no activation of your creative center, which is your sacral center. There's no breathing exercises, no dance, you know. And it's kind of weird that that's the norm. The norm is to not use your intuition, to not connect to your body, to just rely on your mind. And I don't think that it gives us the best answers, you know.
the vision I have for that, it's like trying to squeeze out the very last bit of toothpaste every time you're trying to create through your mind. It's like, oh, I need to get this last bit out. And for me, it
Yeah,
feels in my body if I'm trying to create through my mind. But I do find doing a like a brain dump, getting getting it all out of my head sometimes, just write it down, do a mind map or whatever it might be, sometimes allows me and people that I work with to just put that aside so then they can drop into their body. It kind of, sometimes
yeah,
the mind can be so active that it needs a task to kind of get out of the way, you know. And
definitely. I agree. But
yeah,
then the writing in itself connects you to your subconscious.
yeah,
So you're tapping into a different part of your mind. You're tapping into that part of your mind that has all the secrets, basically.
yeah,
So
definitely. And I think, you know, when you were speaking there about, I used to work in IT before acupuncture, so I was years in that as well, and it was trying to bring ideas out of the mind is a very masculine energy way of doing it, and that's in no way kind of going against the masculine energy of things, because we need that structure, we need that holding, we need to be able to again have a container of safety in a sense to allow the feminine energy to flow through, and the creativity and the intuition and all of that. So um I've experienced that from a different side, but so I understand what you mean by that as well.
yeah, it's definitely the masculine strategy, isn't it?
Yeah, and it has its place, but I think society as a whole is opening up to the more woohoo words in inverted commas of intuition, and
Yeah,
allowing the allowing your inner knowing to be part of the creative process, or to be part of work even. So I think we've definitely changed in that sense as a society, or we are changing, maybe not fully changed, but yeah, yeah,
that's good. If they're doing that in the offices, then great. Because
yeah. I don't know if they
you know,
are.
you feel like so far away from it now. I'm like
Yeah,
8 years out. So
yeah. I don't know if they are, but I'm assuming like people are talking about it more, whether they're doing it in the work,
yeah,
they're outside of work. There's more conversation around it. There's more openness. There, you know, I when I started training as an acupuncturist, even doing that was like people were looking at me like I was crazy. That was so far beyond people's comprehension. Whereas now, it's just accepted. You know, it's part of people's lives now. And
Yeah,
you know, I,
exactly.
the things we think we are speaking about now are also becoming part of people's lives. So it's amazing. Yeah,
Without a doubt.
yeah. So, is there? I've no idea what time it is. I think we have an hour, don't we, on in total on an Instagram live? I think.
I'm not sure, but yeah, probably because I'm sure I've done a few lives that go on for like a good 45 minutes, if
Right.
not. So, I'm interested to know more about you, what you do, how you help your clients, because we know each other in our group, but it's always, we're always in group session together, so it's not a personal chat. So, and obviously, then you can share with your followers on Instagram as well what you do.
So as I said, yeah, I used to be an and it's I closed my acupuncture business just in October, so it's quite a new um transition that I made. But before that, I think Zora's just after writing something. I think being leader challenges us a lot, challenges challenge us a lot with our authenticity and our visibility. We can't be a leader if we hide and not share. 100% Azora, 100% definitely. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
I am also a Psyche facilitator. I've been a Psyche facilitator for almost 2.5 years now, and that is a process where we reprogram the subconscious mind so that you can move forward um, with a new potential that lies within your subconscious mind, and it gives you the power of choice. You know, which belief, which potential are you going to actually live and create from? Is it going to be the one that feels comfortable but the one that keeps you stuck and hiding and waiting, or is it going to be the one that you've just programmed in, the one that's life affirming, the one that holds unlimited potential for you? um, but in saying that, obviously there's layers to certain beliefs, there's layers to certain ways of living as well. And I'm also a coach as well. So I'm calling myself a transformation and freedom coach, because
Nice.
it's they are two things that are so important to me on my own personal journey, and I can only guide, I can only lead from what is of most service to me. If it's of service to me, then it's of service to my clients. So to live a life of freedom to me is to be able to show up in my world, show up in my life, show up in my relationships and for my clients from a level of freedom where I'm not feeling anchored to my past, where I'm not feeling anchored to my beliefs and my perceptions that are not serving me, and to be able to alchemize and transform the parts of myself that I don't like, you know, and to be able to allow myself in the not liking them to still love them and to still move forward in life. And, I want women to, and men, but I'm working with women, I want everybody to be able to live the life that they want to live. And I want them to do that from a place of not needing any external permission. We don't need
Yeah,
at all, but so many of us have been conditioned to think that we do. And
yeah,
I
definitely.
really that the Enneagram is something that I've been really interested in for years and years, and I'm a 9 on the Enneagram. And I just discovered recently through another coach that I follow, he was saying that a 9 particularly has a very, very unconscious belief of waiting for permission. They feel like they cannot move forward without the permission, and it really just hit me a lot, because though a lot of us wait for permission, I feel that some of us are more prone to certain beliefs than others. And that was one for me. I was always waiting for permission. Didn't know who the person was or who the being was, but I was waiting for permission. So,
Yeah,
yeah. Um, and I guess bringing in more, I'm becoming more comfortable of speaking the more spiritual side of things and the more esoteric side of things, because for me it was a very personal inward journey for a very long time, and I would only speak
yeah,
about it with random people here and there, or close people. So bringing that in, bringing people on journeys into their subconscious mind, bringing them into their internal world, into their internal palace, and to find out what is it, what jewel is in there that your unconscious wants to show you. You know,
Yeah,
how can it light your way up? How can it be your next path to your next level of transformation? So, yeah, that's
that sounds amazing. I
yeah,
love it.
yeah. So it's exciting, and it's, it's transformative, and it's also scary, but
Yeah.
that is part of this process of being a leader. Mm.
I think that transformation and freedom piece that you talked about is just everything. It is just everything. Um, Last January, I did a challenge. It was it was like a money mindset challenge to get women thinking differently about money and opening up their kind of mindset, and I, you know, did some spiritual work in there, not a lot, because I was just starting to put spirituality into my business and I was just training for my hypnotherapy. um, but we did some heart work,
Yeah.
and we did a visualization, you know, to think about the kind of future that they would want. And one of the girls mentioned to me, said the challenge completely changed her life. She said before those 5 days, she didn't realize that she could dream. Like she had been brought up to feel that she could not dream, that she had to do a job in her local town, or it was unacceptable if she went out of the norms of her local society kind of gave her. And I think this is a very common thing. Now, you and I, we see each other every week in a coaching group with like what, 10, 12 other women who, all of us are on this spiritual journey. But one of the things that we must not forget, and actually Nick Pigeon said this the other day in her in a master no in her podcast, is that we are in this coaching bubble and
Yeah.
we see coaches and all the time, so we feel like the market is saturated, but actually we're like nine, you know, we're 1% out of 99% of the world that hasn't reached this point where they are surrendering,
Yeah.
accepting, opening themselves up, and actually realizing that there is another way. They don't have to have a 9 to 5 job. They don't have to live within the confines of what society tells them they have to live in. They can live within the freedom of what their soul desires and live their soul's purpose.
Yeah.
I think there's so much judgment about around people that don't do like uni 9 to 5 and just do their thing, you know,
Yeah.
in the world out there. It's people, you know, you're not taken seriously. When are you going to get a proper job? All of this kind of like crappy questions. The irony is that I had a proper job working in London, advertising, 17 years in the business, right? But my grandma and my aunt would always ask me, are you going to get a proper job? And my
Wow.
grandma would just say to me, you should be a nurse. Not knowing that like the sight of blood or pus really turns me off. It like makes me want to be sick.
Yeah.
But for them, that was their limitation about what they saw for me. But for me, I suppose being in advertising was part of my journey to where I am now, like being in actually a very fun, explorative culture where I got to go to Ibiza, and like I literally had the life of Riley, you know, for like 17 years living in London, partying and having fun. But it led me to where I am now. But there are people that don't know that they can ever get out of it.
Yeah.
You know, when you go to your local supermarket and the woman there, her mum did the same job before her, she doesn't know that actually her purpose might be something different.
Yeah.
And every single human being that is brought onto this planet has chosen the life that they are choosing, what they're stepping into. We choose our life, we choose our parents, we choose our family. I have been there with multiple clients where they have told me that they are looking down, they are choosing their parents. This is real. This is not people making it up, you know? And we choose it for a reason.
Yeah.
And then we get onto this earth, and through conditioning from the age of 0, we forget what our purpose is. We forget why we came here.
Yeah.
So we have to, as coaches and leaders, remind people, we have to help them remember what they came here for, to actually live their life and live their purpose. And that purpose doesn't have to be making a million. It doesn't even have to be guiding or leading. It could be the simplest of things. But the key is, for true happiness and inner peace within your heart in this world, we need to all find our purpose. But it's much more harder work than we think. And I've been peeling away the layers and doing the healing work now for over 2 years, and I'm still doing it, and I'm still finding there are deep layers there that need to be peeled away. And yeah, it's not easy, but it's easier when you work with a subconscious coach like yourself or me, you know, through the hypnotherapy. It's easier. I would definitely say that. Sometimes I just wish that, why can't someone just do my hypnotherapy on me? Just get this over with quickly, rather than having to do like 40 days of journaling to reveal, you know,
Why
my true self.
ill for this? You know, why can't I just take something and it'll be all better?
Oh my God, yeah, exactly. It's funny that you say that, because last night we were watching on, I think it was on Netflix, but it was like a fantastic fungi. I don't know if you've seen the documentary.
I've
If
seen
you
some.
haven't seen it, you've got to watch it. It's like, the intelligence of mushrooms is just beyond incredible, and the power of mushrooms to help people heal from, you know, major illness like cancer and things like that is, it's just incredible what they present on the program. But also they talk about psilocybin and plant medicine, which is illegal in Spain, and I think it is illegal in Ireland and the UK
Yeah,
as well.
in most places.
um yeah, in most places, but I think in the US now they have like a medicinal version where they help people to heal from, you know, lifetimes of deep depression,
Yeah,
like PTSD,
yeah,
bipolar, all
yeah.
of these things through using the like a guided session. Like, you're with a guide, you're protected, you're looked after using the psilocybin, and in the program it talks about basically reaching into your deeper consciousness, you know, that subconscious, and seeing the world from a different perspective. And I think for me, what I got out of it was that you can see the energy of the world. You see the energy, you see the linkways between us all, the tendrils that connect us all as, you know, within a community, within this universe. And the whole world, the whole planet is connected through energy. And I found that really insightful. But they also attributed it to the growth and transformation of our brains. So they believe in the, like, caveman times, you know, that they would take the psilocybin to develop their consciousness, and they are saying they're saying they're saying not just not a fact, but I've got to say that caveat, but they're saying that it definitely was something that contributed to the growth of the human brain by 3 times from the first man that was on Earth. But you've through millions and millions of years of transformation. But yeah, so helping you to expand your consciousness, but work, you know, dropping into your purpose and understanding your purpose. Another way to do it. You have to go to America for that.
I'm sure if you looked hard enough, you could find somebody closer. But
I don't know. It's piqued my interest. It has piqued my interest.
I think there's a group in Holland who have that availability. I think it's legal in Holland to have a therapist bring you through processes with certain medicines. So I think it is there.
Yeah.
Um, but just going back to what you were saying there about, you know, the woman in the supermarket as your example who doesn't know that she has another option. She doesn't know that there is a deep soul desire within her. And it's like, for me, I kind of see it as what I was saying earlier is about the brain dump, that we don't believe that there's anything beyond our thoughts. We are so conditioned to believe that our thoughts are real, that
Yeah.
we don't believe that it's possible to think a new way and to actually drop into our bodies and allow our bodies to kind of move the energetics, the stuckness, the whatever it might be, and to allow our bodies to also have the wisdom. And that's something more that I'm bringing into my work as well, is to allow our bodies to be the vehicle of transformation as well. Because,
Yeah.
you know, I think we were messaging, just saying that, you know, you just forget to move your body, you forget the wisdom that's in here. You forget to just, allow your brain to go, or your mind to go somewhere else, and just let your body move the energy in, without knowing
Yeah,
what it means, without knowing what the result is going to be, and it's just, it's important. And it's there's I remember having an acupuncture client who was a lovely, lovely man. He was from America and he was living here in Dublin. And he was a very not regular kind of person who used to come to me for acupuncture, but he just said one day, he was like, I just love acupuncture. It puts me back in my body and I don't feel like I'm an octopus walking around anymore. And it was just because he was just in his head all the time, and he just had these tendrils floating underneath him. And I think, as much as going into the subconscious and going into the journeys, for me, it seems that I'm being brought in the direction as well of to bringing it into the physicality as well, to allow our, we're here to be physical, and we're here to experience and to feel physically, and to bring our bodies back into it as well. I think it's a really important part of my journey and the journey I'm bringing others on now as well.
definitely. Yeah. I believe that without a doubt. Yesterday I did a planning session with Marianne. She was on with us earlier actually. And Isura's got a little question there. But
Oh,
yeah, so yesterday I did planning session with Marianne, but before we did any planning, and all of our planning was energetic and really intuitive. It wasn't the kind of strategic style. I'm leaving her to do that by herself, then we discuss it next week, because for me it was about raising her energetic vibration, getting her to connect to her intuition so that she could truly be creative in her planning for 2022.
mm-hmm.
So we started off the session with a grounding session, which was I intuitively guided. I closed my eyes and just led with some incredible kind of insights and things. And past life often comes into it for me. It's like when we're clearing energy, I often encourage. I know with Daryl, we just do this. From people and places and everything, but I always get them to do it from past life as well, because I feel such an energetic pull from my past life. Past lives. There wasn't just one, there were lots.
Yeah.
We've all got lots. And then we did the embodiment dancing, and it was new for her.
Yeah.
Well, no, we've done it before, but it was new between us.
Yeah.
It was something we were sharing new. And it just is quite amazing how it raises your energetic vibration straight away. 10 minutes of work, and your energetic vibration has gone from here to here. And then you are buzzing and functioning at your highest capability. You are so productive and your brain is on fire.
Yeah.
I mean, it is working on fire. And if they taught that in offices, businesses would be so much more productive and make so much more money.
And they could let people work less. They wouldn't have to work as many hours. There'd be a
Oh,
lot.
exactly. Exactly. So that's one of the challenges that I see with clients that come through. They're like, I need to work 9 hours a day, 8 hours a day. They have their own business, but they're still seeing a 9 to 5 structure,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And it's like the conversation I had yesterday, I said, I want you to take 2 hours, an hour and a half, whatever it is, for you to do the inner work in the mornings. Because those 2 hours, even if you're working 6 hours a day, those 2 hours out of that 6 hours, you're going to be way more productive in the other 4 hours and get so much more work done,
Yeah.
you know?
And it really allows your soul, it allows your higher self to fully embody into this experience, instead of cutting things off at the brain level. When we allow our bodies to move, and when we allow the energies to really shift in the way they need to shift, we can live a more embodied life, and we can live a more purposeful way of why we're here in the first place, to experience. Because no matter what other dimension you go to, they don't have, as far as we know, as far as I know, I won't say we, as far as I know from what I've heard, they don't have the same physicalities that we have. They don't have the
Yeah.
same experiences that we have. They don't have the same food that we get to experience and enjoy and all of that. And
Yeah.
I've been Joe Dispenza speaking about that. He's speaking about the soul descending, and it stops at the 3D level because tiramisu was here, and why would you go anywhere else? And I always find that really funny. It's like
He's so funny. I love Joe. He is just, I literally, I did yoga and meditation before, but it was Joe Dispenza that I learned how to meditate properly and really started to have those very deep spiritual experiences where I felt almost, I don't know, like floating, transcendent. You know, my body, I felt like my body would actually be floating within the sessions. They were an hour and 22 minutes. It's from
yeah,
his book, How to Change a Habit of Being Yourself. I did it at the start of COVID. I started it in the January 2 years ago, and I did it through COVID, and it helped me cope with losing a year and a half of my wedding business. You know, it
yeah,
was amazing. And that's the other thing. All of this work gives you this ability to cope on a different level. It gives you compassion, and it really helps you to live your life with more compassion and patience
yeah.
and happiness, because you don't get into as much conflict and you're able to deal with things better. Not saying that I don't get into conflict. I still manage to do that
Good work.
when my family trigger me.
Yeah, yeah. But I think this work, it allows you to move through those things way quicker. Once you get more used to it, you're not spending 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, whatever it might be, in this one way of trying to get through, an argument with somebody or some sort of problem. You are the refractory period, as Joe called it, it lessens and lessens and lessens all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
absolutely.
you're allowing yourself to stay in it. You're going, I'm just going to sit here for a little while and just enjoy my misery. It's just, so.
That's it. I think our objective is always to be moving forward,
Yeah,
to grow, to
yeah,
move away from the negativity, because it doesn't have to exist, does it? I
no,
mean, bad things happen in life, but you don't have to sit in it. You don't have to dwell in it. You don't have to suffer it. Well, I mean, you need to let it flow and experience it through you, but it doesn't have to linger.
yeah.
That when I shared the other day the Caroline Miss interview, and she was talking about um, how we can heal, but how a lot of us stay in
Yeah,
victim consciousness, and we want to retell our story over and over again, and in the sympathy that we get from it, we are re-victimizing ourselves over and over again.
yeah,
And it's a difficult pattern to break, a very difficult pattern to break, especially if you have grown and developed in a world where you only ever got attention in your life when there was crisis.
yeah,
And that's my personal struggle. That's my personal struggle. I shared with you guys on Monday a difficult moment for me, and then afterwards I thought, oh, I feel better now because they've given me their sympathy. And then I thought, I am reinforcing the
yeah,
victim. But I needed to share with
yeah,
you. I don't talk about these things with family and friends. It's like the women that understand, the spiritual leaders, the ones that are part of what I believe in, like you guys, So, but I think it's so important to recognize when we are playing victim and what we're trying to get out of that. And there was this interesting story of this guy that had experienced the most horrendous experience in the Second World War, like the most horrendous experience. Um, and she said that he had been in the pain for years and years and years, and he was suffering. After the moment, he was suffering and suffering and suffering and suffering. And this is what being in victim keeps us within. It keeps us within the suffering.
yeah,
And she said he needed to tell his story 3 times so that he could move on. So then he told his story, and then he started to tell the story from a more detached perspective. It wasn't weighing him down anymore. He was able to free himself and find happiness again, even though he had been like tortured and victimized in the most horrendous ways during the war. So yeah, it's really about that recognition and recognizing, isn't it, that when we're playing that victim and starting to work out how we can move away from that, how we can leave that story behind, because that story, that moment is behind us. We're not experiencing it anymore, but every time we think of it and we take ourselves through it again, we're experiencing it again.
yeah, yeah, 100%. And it's as you had said, there's a comfort in being comforted by other people when you keep speaking about
Yeah,
and the pains that you've had from your past, and it's, you know, it's it's not an easy thing to let go of, and it's something that I'm working through as well on a personal level. This victim,
mm,
God, poor me, I don't have this, I don't have that, this happened, they said that, whatever it might be.
yeah,
But it's really hard to move forward if you're insisting on an unconscious level, maybe, but if you're insisting on holding on to that victim mode, you cannot move forward in the way that you really want to, you know. And
yeah, definitely.
it takes courage and it takes bravery to allow yourself to let go of the story. It really,
Yeah,
really. And
it really does.
but I was doing a group course there during the year, and I was bringing in some of David Hawking's stuff.
Oh, I love him. He's
One,
amazing. I'm just reading his new book.
yeah, but you know his chart where the evolution, the numbers, where it gets, I can't remember, it's courage, and then you flip over and you're into the love, and it has the chakra colors.
Yeah, exactly.
Fascinated me when you're hitting that 200 mark. Right underneath that 200 mark is courage, and you have to develop that courage to allow your lower centers to release that, so you can open up into your heart and to allow those wounds, to allow those past things to be alchemized in your heart through
Yeah,
whatever way.
definitely.
It really resonated with me too, and the women that I shared it with as well, they were like, oh yeah, that really makes sense, you know.
Yeah,
Last third center, where so many of us hold so much tension and so much fear and so much doubt, that right on the top of that is just this kind of film of courage, that if we can break through it, we're straight into our heart, and it's just, yeah.
completely. I literally read that literally like where I last time I picked up my Kindle, which was a couple of weeks ago, because I'm doing another book at the moment, but I love the book. What I would say is that over the last, well, I was doing hypnotherapy for a woman who's a Reiki level, I think she might be even level 3. So I was doing hypnotherapy with her. And she said to me, because she's an intuitive psychic as well, she said, you need to focus on your lower chakras. So
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of Reiki healing because I'm Reiki attuned to level 2 on my lower chakras, like basically my root and my sacral, okay? And I've been doing that for a while now. And then recently I met this woman. I went to go and collect my identity card in the police station in before Christmas in my local town here in the south of Spain. And I meet this woman in the queue who's from Scotland, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, she can't get her card. She waits for me. I come out. We have this like 10-15 minute chat by the fountain. And it's just so insane how aligned we are. Like, it's like, how can I meet this person in the middle of southern Spain? I really don't know that many people here. I've been here 8 years, but I haven't made many friends. And she's just the most amazing woman. She said to me to get Gaia, and I got Gaia, and I love it. It's so insanely great. There's these hypnotherapists, these yoga classes
Yeah.
that are designed to release the area of the root and the sacral. And between those yoga classes over 2 weeks now, and actually doing the root balancing one, which includes breath work, it includes chanting, you know, there's lots of other things. I literally feel like my lower chakras are starting to open up now. But one of the kind of things I learned in my energy course was that if the sacral's blocked, it blocks the universal chi energy from fully entering our system. So it means that we manifest illnesses and problems within our body. So it needs to be, basically your sacral needs to be open and clear in order for the universal energy to fully enter our body, enter into the blood, to regenerate the cells, to help us grow and heal, and all of these things. So interesting fact about the whole Lucy, you need to work on your sacral and your root, is that since I was 25, I've suffered from ulcerative colitis, which is a digestive tract, inflammation of the digestive tract. It started 18 months after my mum passed, which I think is so significant. It is a disease autoimmune disease triggered by the loss, you know, and the trauma of that. And I also have very bad lower back and hip pain. And I just, now that I live in this world of energy, I am just so like, of course,
Yeah,
of course.
it makes so
Of
much.
course, I'm going to have digestive issues and stiff hips and lower back pain because my lower chakras are completely blocked. But they're blocked from a lifetime of experiences and difficulties. And I think that's a message that I'd like to get out to anybody out there. You know, if you did have a difficult, chaotic childhood, perhaps you didn't feel that you belonged, or something that made you not feel safe in this world, then it's likely that you need to do work on those lower chakras to really help release them, open them up so that you can live as a full energetic being. Because when those chakras are blocked, you're cutting your physical energy in half. The flow of the energy from your crown to your toes can't happen in a healthy way. So it's really impactful on our health, you know, overall.
Yeah, 100%, completely agree with that. And that sacral chakra, that womb space that, you know, women obviously have, but men have that womb space as well.
Yeah.
It's the, you know, our subconscious mind is thought of the womb of creation. It's this big feminine force. And when our sacral chakra is blocked like that, as you said, it can be really hard to go into that imaginative space and to allow yourself to bring the magic of your subconscious unlimitlessness in, and for you to allow yourself to experience new things in your life. And something that was I heard somebody else speak about this, that our third center, that
Yeah.
it really connected to our third eye, and that if it is blocked, then it's blocked. You're not going to
Yeah.
have the real spiritual vision, if you're holding so much tension in this third center. If your third chakra is just a knot of anxiety and a knot of fear of moving forward, it's going to be really hard for you to actually see a future for yourself. So,
Yeah.
you know, and it's,
Absolutely.
yeah,
That's it. And I think I've seen it, the resistance in people who haven't got a lot of experience in hypnotherapy or meditation, in that they're like, they're fighting it. They're fighting. They don't want to fight it, but their subconscious is fighting it. They're like, well, when I go into it, I don't really feel like I can imagine. But really, it's because their chakras need alignment and cleansing and balancing. Really, they need to do that embodiment dancing
yeah,
to move the energy through the body. You know, they need to do that breath work. So
yeah.
the one I've been doing for the root, I love it. It's like what Daryl does with us when we have to do that,
Oh yes, yeah, yeah,
but you do it physically as well. So you drop your legs like a warrior, and you scoop up the first breath with your arms. You're like, and then you do, and then, and I've been doing it in the morning, and it's before Jesus gets up, and my dogs get up with me because otherwise they'll wake Jesus up. So I take the dogs out, and they go in their little beds, and my office is downstairs, and I'm doing this. The
uh,
dogs start barking. They're terrified of me, my warrior breathing.
yeah. Amazing. And that warrior energy, that warrior aspect that lies within all of us, is part of being a leader as well. It's part of allowing that fierceness that lies inside of us to be expressed out into the world and to have fun. I can just feel the excitement from you, even you're just talking about doing that kind of breath work or that kind of movement. It's
I love it. I love it. In fact, that's a good point. I really want to get breathwork into my group. So I'm relaunching my group. Um, I have a long history with Facebook groups and had an amazing group called the wedding coaching corner for a long time. And then as I pivoted, I tried to change the group, and I called it the Wild Hearted Entrepreneur. And I had like 350 women in there, and we did some great events, had some great time. But through the moving to spirituality, I had to let it go because I felt like I wasn't serving the women for what they came here for. So through my podcast, which is called Empowered Women Rise, I created another group called Empowered Women Rise. But then I just kind of didn't put my love into it. So now I'm back and I'm putting my love into it and I'm nurturing that group again. But I'm nurturing it with the intention that it is a space where women can explore spirituality
Yeah.
and really get into it. So people who have just come in, they're just inquisitive about it, they can join me and we can start doing it. And I'm thinking for the next month, I want to do embodiment dancing once a week. And I
Yeah.
might even do like breath work as well, like something like that, you know, because I want people to feel
Yeah.
what it is like when you move the energy through your body. I want them to experience it. And I think if you do a breathwork session or an embodiment dancing session one time, you're hooked in and you just want more of it, you know?
And to give yourself the permission to allow yourself to experience it. Don't just be there and your mind trying to feel it. Your mind can't feel it. Your body has to feel it. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to let go. You have to surrender.
Yeah. 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 I think have to. I always try and correct myself when I say you have to. You don't have to do
No,
anything.
yeah, you're right. You're right.
Because I know for me being in this strict Catholic school, I was told I had to do everything. So I was like, no, I'm giving myself permission
Yeah,
to.
giving yourself permission. That's a much nicer way of saying it.
Yeah, there was just before we came on live as well. I just had some music going and I was moving my body, and it was a beautiful song by the beautiful chorus group.
Oh, God, I love them.
Body, and it was just the most beautiful song. It's just
Which song is it that you like?
my body.
My Body. Oh, okay. I'll have to check that one out. I haven't listened to that one.
Showering your body with just love and just with kind of really juicy feelings. It's just lovely. So
Is it a good one for embodiment work, you think?
it is, because I think the energy behind it is really good. It's not a moving things really quick, but it's a slow kind of just getting your body warmed up for. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 absolutely.
Yeah.
I
No.
love that. I love that. It's so funny. The first time I did the embodiment dancing was like in the depths of winter last year when it was like 1 degrees here in the mornings and ice on the windscreen of the cars. And I'd taken Jesus's mum's got a bedroom here, and I was like, this room never gets used. So I took the bed out and I made it my yoga room. But it was so cold in there, Joanne. It was nothing like a lovely warm yoga room. And I'd go in there and I'd put on this like shamanic dancing, and I'd make myself like a ceremonial cacao in the morning with reishi mushroom in it. And I've been doing, I swear my partner must have thought or thinks that I've lost my mind completely.
Amazing. Well, good work doing it in the cold. It's not always easy showing up to do that kind of work in the cold. It's
No, exactly. Oh my God. The last couple of weeks I've been doing yoga with my dressing gown on, like with the hood up.
I've been there. You've seen me show up on calls in my dressing gown with my hood up. I've been on lives with my hood up, so
I saw you yesterday. But the funny thing is that all usually what we see on Instagram is, you know, like beautiful, perfectly svelte bodies doing these perfect yoga positions. But that's not what yoga is about. Yoga is about dropping into your body, and it doesn't matter what you're wearing or where you're doing it or who, you know, what you look like. You do it because it's a soulful experience. And I think there's so much about the world in Instagram right now that has become, it's not so soulful. It says it's soulful, but then it's not, because it's about image,
yeah,
and image is a lot of times fake. You know, it's a perception, it's a portrayal of something that isn't real, you know. And I think I was thinking this yesterday, like I need to show up more. Like yesterday I looked like shit. You know, my water tank had been broken for 5 days, and I thought I really want to do a live about so and so, and I was like, oh, I can't, I look awful, you know, like.
yeah. You know, and I don't use filters often, but some days I just want to use a filter because I want to feel better and I still want to say what I want to say. So I'll put on a filter,
Yeah,
and that's okay also, you know.
I quite like the sparkly filter, especially if you're wearing like sequins. It's so it's so cool. Yeah, that's but I think it's empowering for women to see normal looking women
Yeah, yeah.
and
We, you know,
and the
it's
potential that there is in life to be normal and to be successful as well, you know, rather than only seeing. There's nothing wrong with women that look like models. You know, beautiful people, wonderful. But to only see women that look like models all the time in the feed can be very disheartening for people because they feel like they can never match up to that. And actually, you don't have to be that to be successful and
yeah,
happy.
exactly. And I think that's part of why I wanted to do these conversations as well, is to also bring the normality in. Everybody looks successful on Instagram or on social media. Everybody is portraying the fact that everything is really easy and it's going really well, and they can manifest whatever amount of money or however amount of clients in a day, whatever it might be. But it's this, for me, this conversation is important to bring in the reality and the realness of what it means to be a coach, to run your own business, to be somebody who actually decides to be the leader in their own life. That it's not all, you know, it's, you can't win all the time. There are times where you need to sit and reevaluate and then move forward. You cannot be winning all the, maybe some people can, I don't know,
No,
maybe.
I don't think so. I think it's human nature. I think it's human nature that it's not always a winning day.
Yeah. And it's
It's human nature.
conversation. You know, for me, yesterday was a struggle day. Everything was a struggle for whatever reason, but I gave myself permission to move through each struggle that showed itself. I still showed up
Yeah.
for my clients, and I was able to be open for them and just to still hold space for them and still be there for them while my struggle internally was still part of my process. And it's
Yeah.
important like that it's not this spiritual journey, this spiritual evolution is going to bring up days like that, and that's okay, you know. And I think it's important to say that as well.
Of course, of course. Um, have you seen Don't Look Up?
No, I haven't. I'm going to watch it at the weekend. No, I'm going to watch
You've
it.
got to watch it. You've got to watch it. And you've got to tell me whether you cry like I did.
I cry easily, so the chances are I'm going to cry.
I won't tell you why I cried,
Okay.
but we'll talk about it later. But I cried. I cried because for me, I saw like it's very yeah, it's a lot of, there's a lot of symbolism in there for other things. You know, there's a lot of messages in there.
Yeah.
And you know, Leo is an activist for you know, for what's it called, for what's it called,
Okay.
for you know, the planet, to not pollute the planet and whatever we call those kind of activists. I don't know why I've got a complete mind blank.
There's
Global warming, a global warming activist, for
okay.
God's sake. Yeah, so he's a global warming activist.
Yeah.
And so you've got to kind of see between the lines of it. Some people are just like, oh, it's really cringeworthy. But no, it's not about that. It goes beyond that. But it is about the fakeness and the reality, and the fakeness and the reality, and how sometimes the reality gets pushed aside because the fakeness is more attractive
Yeah.
to people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think in the coaching world, you can really see it the way some people are presenting themselves, that it's easy to be really successful, and if you're not successful, it's your fault. And I think that,
Yeah.
you know, there's something wrong with you if you're not being successful. You don't want it enough, you're not trying hard enough, or whatever it might be. And I think that is very harmful within an industry. And um, it's not a
Yeah.
practice I want to be a part of. It's not something
No, definitely, definitely. There are coaches out there who will be like, "Well, you're not doing the work,"
yeah,
or you've got to do it like, you know. And it's not about that. It's if you're not doing the work, there's a reason why you're not doing the work. It's a deeper meaning. There's deeper work to be done. Perhaps there's some healing that needs to be done because perhaps you're not showing up because your self-worth and your self-love is not to a point or a level where you feel safe to be out there. You know, you've got fear of rejection, fear of judgment, and that needs to be dealt with. So it goes beyond, doesn't it?
it does.
I always think whatever you see on the surface, you've got to look deeper.
Mm. Yeah.
and see the truth that is within, because quite often as well we don't even tell the truth to ourselves about how we're feeling. We have to really dig deep to find the truth, you know.
Yeah. And that, bringing it back to the leadership part, that's it. A leadership quality is integrity and honesty, and yeah, just allowing yourself to be truthful to yourself first and foremost, and then to others that you feel can hold your truth. Not everybody can hold our truth, so we don't need to say it to everybody, but people who are able to. Yeah.
Yeah, and willing and wanting to,
That can
for
do that.
their own. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So amazing. I had a flash on my phone there that I have just under 20% left of battery.
Wow.
So
Probably mine. Oh no, I've got mine plugged in. Mine was running out. I was like, plugged it in.
nearby. What time is it? Do you know? Have you a
It
clock?
is 12:10. Oh, 11:10
Oh,
your time.
an hour.
That'll freak you out.
I was like, Jesus, an hour, 2 hours. That's good going. But I wanted to keep these to about an hour because I thought we only had an hour. So we can maybe begin to wrap it up a little bit. It's
Yeah, definitely.
been amazing. Is there anything else that you wanted to share, or to let people, I suppose, people from my side, to let people know where you are, how they can find you, anything like that?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at i.am.lucybennett. Or if you'd like to come and be part of my community on Facebook, then the group is called Empowered Women Rise Up. And if you've got an interesting story that you would like to share on my podcast, I am reviving it, bringing it back to life. So I'm interviewing women, and I've even, this is what you know, you were proud of yourself because you'd made action this week. I
Yeah,
took action yesterday, and I've contacted 2 or 3 people already about doing podcasts. So yeah, very good. So if you want to be part of the podcast, then please do. It's about women telling their stories to empower other women. So
amazing. Well, I feel very blessed that you're part of my community and that I'm in this amazing mastermind with you. So it's
you too.
to have women, to walk beside, and to be held and to hold. So thank you so much.
Definitely. I'm already thinking, I don't want it to end.
I know.
Can you believe it? It's officially, mine doesn't end till June, but I'm already thinking, I don't want it to end because I love it so much. You know, I just want it to stay part of my life forever.
I know. Who knows what she might create for us all.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure there'll be something else.
Yeah.
All right, my lovely. Well, thank you so much for having me on. It's been so nice to talk to you, and thanks for those people that have watched as well, you know, and listened
Thank
to
you
me
everyone
ramble.
for joining, and apologies on missing some of the questions that came through. So um, we will try to get back to them. So thank you, everybody. The first Leaders Connection. Um, thank you so much. So I will see you all next week, and thank you, Lucy. I will see you in our group, and have an
Thank
amazing.
you, my lovely.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.